All right, let's dive into one of the greatest, most epic adventure stories ever told. We're talking about the quest of Jason and the Argonauts. Now, this isn't just any old story. This is a foundational myth, a tale absolutely packed with larger-than-life heroes, truly terrifying monsters, and challenges that seem completely impossible. And it all revolves around one single, legendary prize.
But before we get into the weeds, let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. What does it really take to steal a treasure? And I don't mean just any treasure. I mean something that's basically divine, something that you have to travel to the literal edge of the known world to get, a treasure held by an incredibly powerful king, and oh yeah, guarded by a dragon that never, ever sleeps. How do you even begin to pull that off?
So, this whole story kicks off not with a blaze of glory, but with an act of pure betrayal. Our hero, Jason, gets sent on this quest by his treacherous uncle, King Peleus. See, Peleus had heard this prophecy. A man wearing only one sandal would be his downfall. And what do you know? Jason shows up one day, having lost a sandal while helping an old woman, who was actually the goddess Hera in disguise, cross a river. So Peleus, he cooks up this brilliant evil plan. He can't just kill Jason outright, that would look bad. Instead, he sends him on a voyage that's designed to be a one-way trip. Go to the edge of the world, to the distant land of Colchis, and bring back the Golden Fleece. Good luck with that.
But here's the thing. Jason isn't going alone. Oh no. For a mission this insane, you need the best of the best. And he assembles what is basically the ancient world's version of the Avengers. I mean, look at this roster for his ship, the Argo. You've got Heracles, literally the strongest man alive. You've got Orpheus, whose music could charm animals, trees, even rocks. You have Peleus, who would one day be the father of the great Achilles. You've got the twin heroes, Castor and Polydeuces. This wasn't just some crew of sailors. It was an all-star team of demigods, princes, and kings. The absolute bravest and boldest of an entire generation, all on one boat.
You'd think with a crew like that, it'd be smooth sailing, right? Wrong. The journey is immediately, unbelievably dangerous. Way before they're even close to Colchis, they run into this tormented prophet, a man named Phineus. And, like it so often happens in these Greek myths, the heroes quickly figure out that this poor cursed guy, well, helping him just might be the key to their own survival.
And Phineus's curse is just awful. I mean, it's a special kind of cruel. He's being tormented by the Harpies, which the story calls the hounds of mighty Zeus. Think about this. Every single time he tries to eat, these monstrous bird women with the faces of crones swoop down out of nowhere, snatch the food right out of his hands, and what they don't take, they defile with this stench so foul that nothing can grow or live near it. The man is literally starving to death with a feast right in front of him.
Well, a couple of the Argonauts, the winged sons of the North Wind, no less, were having none of that. They chase the Harpies off for good and free Phineus from his living nightmare. And in return, Phineus is overcome with gratitude. He gives them the one piece of information they desperately need. He tells them exactly how to survive their next and probably most famous obstacle, the Symplegades, better known as the Clashing Rocks.
And the advice he gives is incredibly precise. It's a high-stakes, all-or-nothing kind of deal. First, he says, you have to release a dove and let it fly through the rocks ahead of you. If the dove makes it through, you've got a shot. If it does, you row. You row with every ounce of strength you have because, as Phineus puts it, your safety lies not so much in prayer as in strength of hands. But, and this is a big but, if that dove gets crushed, you turn back immediately. Don't even think about it, because not even a ship made of solid iron could survive what that dove couldn't.
So, with this terrifying prophecy in their minds, the Argonauts approach the deadly strait. Now you gotta understand, this place was the stuff of legend. No ship had ever made it through. It was a death trap, a meat grinder for sailors, and our heroes are about to sail right into its jaws.
The ancient poet who wrote this down paints this just terrifying picture. He says the rocks, quote, constantly clash against one another to one point, and above a huge mass of salt water rises in a crest, boiling up. So they don't just close like a door, they slam together with incredible violence, sending this massive, boiling wave crashing over the top. It's just pure churning chaos, an impassable wall of rock and water.
So they do as Phineus said. They release the dove. It darts forward, right into the gap. And just as it's almost through, the rock slams shut with a deafening roar, clipping just the very tip of its tail feathers. It made it, but just barely. That's their signal. It's possible. But the margin for error? It's basically zero.
And what happens next is this perfect storm of human effort and divine help.
The heroes row with this desperate, frantic energy, muscles screaming. And right at that critical moment, a huge wave, sent by the goddess Athena herself, surges up behind the Argo and shoves it forward with incredible force. They blast through the gap just as the rocks smash together again, shearing off the fancy ornament on the very back of their ship. Think about that. A split second slower, and the entire ship and every hero on it would have been pulverized. After somehow surviving that voyage, the Argonauts finally arrive in Colchis. But it turns out their greatest challenge isn't a force of nature, it's a man, King Aeetes. He has absolutely no intention of just handing over his priceless Golden Fleece. Instead, he gives Jason a series of tasks that are so impossible, they're not really tasks at all. They're a death sentence.
Just listen to this ridiculous to-do list he gives Jason. Okay, first, find 2 massive bulls that breathe fire and have bronze hooves, and yoke them. Easy, right? Then use those fire-breathing bulls to plow the entire field of Ares, the god of war. Once that's done, sow the field with dragon's teeth. Oh, and those teeth, they magically sprout into a fully armed, totally hostile army of warriors. And the final step? Defeat that army you just grew. It's utterly, completely insurmountable.
But up on Mount Olympus, the gods have their own game they're playing. Hera, who loves Jason, convinces Eros, the god of love, to intervene. So Eros flies down and shoots one of his golden arrows straight into the heart of King Aeetes' own daughter, the powerful, brilliant sorceress Medea. And instantly, she's hit with this overwhelming, magical passion for this total stranger, Jason. It's not a crush, it's a divine compulsion.
You have to imagine what's going on inside Medea's head right now. She is facing this impossible choice, this devastating internal war. On one side, you've got her duty, her loyalty to her father, her king, her family, her whole country. But on the other side is this new, divinely engineered passion for Jason. The text calls it a flame burning deep in her heart. It's compelling her, forcing her to save him, no matter what the cost.
She chooses passion. She decides to betray everything she's ever known. Medea arranges a secret meeting with Jason, and there she gives him a magic charm, this powerful ointment. She tells him to cover his body, his shield, his sword with it, and for one single day it will make him completely invincible to fire and steel. It will give him the power he needs to survive the trials.
So now, empowered by this dark, foreign magic, Jason strides onto the field of Ares. He's ready to face the king's impossible challenges and the fleece's final terrifying guardian.
First up, the trial begins. Jason has to confront those 2 monstrous fire-breathing bulls with hooves made of solid bronze.
And just as Medea promised, the bulls charge, they breathe jets of flame, and the fire just washes over Jason harmlessly. He's completely untouchable. With this almost supernatural strength granted by the charm, he grabs the powerful beasts, wrestles them into submission, and forces the heavy yoke onto their necks. He then plows the entire field. The first impossible task is done.
So, next, he takes out the bag of dragon's teeth and starts sowing the field. And just as predicted, an entire army of stone warriors, the Spartoi, springs right out of the earth, fully armed and ready to kill him. But Medea had prepared him for this too. He remembers her advice. He picks up a huge stone and hurls it right into the middle of the army. Confused, not knowing where it came from, the stone soldiers immediately turn on each other, and a chaotic battle breaks out until every last one of them is destroyed.
The king's trials are complete, so under the cover of darkness, Jason and Medea head to the sacred grove to finally claim the prize. But it's not unguarded. The text says, the serpent with his keen, sleepless eyes saw them coming and stretched out his long neck and hissed in awful wise. This is it, the final guardian.
And once again, let's be clear, it is Medea's magic, not Jason's strength, that saves the day. Jason, the hero, just stands back and watches. Medea steps forward, dips a juniper branch into a mystic potion, and chants this haunting, magic song. She sprinkles the potion into the dragon's sleepless eyes, and slowly, the great beast is overcome by a deep slumber, something no one had ever been able to do before.
And while the great serpent lies there, fast asleep, Jason just walks up to the oak tree, and he takes the Golden Fleece. The quest is over. The prize, shimmering with a light like fire, is finally his.
So Jason sails back to Greece. He's a hero, he has the fleece, he has a powerful new bride, but this victory, this is not the end of the story. For Medea, this is the beginning of a much, much darker tale. A story of exile, of more betrayal, and of a terrible, terrible revenge. And that leaves us with a pretty heavy final thought, doesn't it? What is the true cost of a stolen treasure? What happens when winning the prize means destroying a home and unleashing a power you can never hope to control?